Goodbye YouTube, how's it going everybody? Got for y'all today a Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle yet again, and this was obviously from my stream. But before I talk about team preview, some of you might know this by now, I actually hit 10,000 subscribers a couple of days ago, I believe, and I just want to thank everybody for getting me this far. You guys are awesome. I am in the midst of working on my 10K special. It'll be 2 parts, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, thank you everybody. Y'all are awesome. Like really, 10,000 subscribers was one of my big milestones to hit when I started uploading, and surely enough, 2.5 years later, I am here and I am more than happy with what I got. Thank you everybody for supporting me. Thank you for everybody who will continue to support me. Here is to 10,000 more, and maybe so on and so on. I don't really know what to say. I'm just really happy. Thank you everybody. Truly thank you. But yeah, I probably will be streaming very soon again, so if you guys want to battle me, feel free to come to the stream and challenge me, and I will battle you if I can. Now, looking at team preview, my opponent's team actually looks very offensively based. The only real walls I see are going to be Togekiss and Tyranitar, which are going to be a bit of a nuisance. Tyranitar can get up rocks, which I have no spinner, so that could be annoying. And then Togekiss is literally one of the bulkiest Pokemon to take down. That thing is a threat, and if it has Thunder Wave and Nasty Plot, that it could be really dangerous. So really gotta watch it for Togekiss. Mega Kangaskhan, if I lose my Aegislash, will be a major problem, so I'm gonna have to watch out for that. Also, if that Scizor turns out to be a Swords Dance variant, it's gonna be very dangerous. Gengar, if it's a Mega Gengar or even Sub-Disable Gengar, will be a big threat. Excadrill, if I lose my Rotom, could possibly sweep me after a Swords Dance if the sand is up. So yeah, his whole team is basically a threat, so I just really have to watch out for everything. Alright, so I'm going to be leading off with my Rotom, as he's going to be leading off with his Kangaskhan. Now, right off the bat, I thought that he would go ahead and Mega Evolve, so what I decided to do was go for the Will-O-Wisp, knowing that I should be able to easily take 2 returns, and then I can cripple Kangaskhan for the whole battle. But no, he does end up making the safe switch into Tyranitar, possibly predicting me 2 Will-O-Wisp, or possibly even go for the Volt Switch. In this turn, I am going to go for the Volt Switch because I know in Sand, a Hydro Pump will not be able to knock him out. So in the end, I was really positive that Volt Switch would be my better play, because either way, he's going to get up Stealth Rocks, and this way I can Volt Switch into my Mamoswine to start putting some offensive pressure on his team. I could also take this opportunity to get on my Stealth Rocks, but really with him having Excadrill and my spin blocker being Aegislash, eventually he will be able to spin away my rocks. So this turn I'm going to predict him to predict me to either go for the Stealth Rocks or go for the Earthquake, predicting him to stay in. And what I'm going to do is actually go for the Stone Edge, predicting him to bring in Togekiss or Gengar, but he actually predicts me to go for the Stealth Rocks and brings in Kangaskhan, which was a really risky play on his part, and I'm able to get off a huge amount of damage on that Kangaskhan as he goes and Mega Evolves. This now has me thinking that Gengar is possibly a Sub-Disable set, so I really have to watch out for that. And he ends up just going for the Safe Sucker Punch, which is perfectly fine by me because I know my Rotom now will be able to live any hit that Kangaskhan wants to go for, and I will be able to easily go for the Volt Switch or go for the Will-O-Wisp. And in the end, I did decide to go for the Volt Switch because I was kind of hoping he would want to switch out, and luckily for me he does, as he brings in the Gengar, which I found to be a little bit odd, but I guess Gengar doesn't really care about being burned considering that it is a special attacker. So I Volt Switch into my Alakazam thinking that I would easily be able to outspeed and knock out this Gengar, but no, it turns out that he's actually Choice Scarf, which I was literally not expecting, like, at all. This never crossed my mind. Luckily though, I still have my Focus Sash intact, and I was able to live the hit and knock out Gengar. I was gonna try to save I was gonna try to save Alakazam's Focus Sash for the whole battle. Unfortunately though, that is not the case, as he brings in the Scizor. I'm thinking he's just gonna go for the safe Bullet Punch, but no, he does make a good play, predicts me to switch out, and goes for the U-turn on my switch into Aegislash. And the fact that he has U-turn has me thinking that he most likely is just a Choice Banded Scizor, so it's going to be really good for me, because if he was Swords Dance, that would be a huge problem. So he U-turns out to the Excadrill, and this turn is a very important turn, I guess you could say, because it all comes down to prediction. And I am going to predict correctly, predicting to Swords Dance, predicting me to switch out, and I'm going to be able to clean knock him out with the Sacred Sword. So Excadrill, one giant threat is out of the way, which is really good for me because now I no longer have to worry about it. As this turn is going to bring in another giant threat, which is Kangaskhan, Mega Kangaskhan to be exact, which do tend to sometimes carry Crunch, Bite, or Shadow Claw just to be able to hit Ghost type. So that's what I'm going to scout out for. I'm going to go for the King Shield, seeing if he has either of those moves. So he ends up going for the return, which at the time I found very odd because I thought he might have predicted me to switch out, but no, he lures me in very, very well and catches me off guard with the Shadow Claw. Luckily though, I was still in shield form and I'm able to live both Shadow Claws and in return knock out the Kangaskhan. So another big threat taken out by my Aegislash, and Aegislash is just putting in some really hard work right now. And I believe this turn he does end up bringing in the Scizor, which again I'm thinking that it's just Choice Banded, right? So what I'm gonna do is just go for the Shadow Ball, knowing that he is gonna U-turn now and I can get off a decent bit of damage on whatever comes in. And if he does bring in Tyranitar, I can outspeed him and possibly knock him out with the Sacred Sword. But no, he has Swords Dance, and at this point I legitimately thought I lost because King Shield is very predictable and can easily be predicted around his. I just said that twice, why? But you get what I'm trying to say. So what I'm gonna do is just keep going for the Shadow Ball until eventually I crit him or get the special defense drop, which I do right now. And I know it's kind of lame for me to rely on hacks, but at this point that was really the only thing that I had to stop the Scizor, and that's Bedef drop really is crucial because now I am going to force him to switch out and I'm able to actually live the hit, which means later in the game I can still possibly King Shield on the Scizor to try to prevent him from sweeping me. As he brings in the Tyranitar, I just go for the safe Shadow Ball as I said. In this turn I know I need to keep my Aegislash around, so what I'm going to do is actually switch into my Hydreigon, thinking that he would just go for the Crunch and then I would be able to set up a substitute and Hydreigon could do some damage behind the substitute. But no, he turns out to have the Thunder Wave and predicts me to switch out and catches my incoming Hydreigon. I have never ever seen Thunder Wave on Tyranitar, so I was seriously not expecting that whatsoever. As he misses the Stone Edge, that actually comes to play a role, but you're gonna see that he gets some payback hacks on me and I'm able to knock him out with the Dragon Pulse, as I believe this turn he ends up bringing back in the Scizor, which can easily outspeed me and possibly knock me out with the U-turn. So he is going to bring in the Scizor, and I was really hoping that he would go for a Swords Dance or go for a Roost, and he does go for the Roost because I have the Fire Blast. Unfortunately though, I have to rely on not getting paralyzed and above that actually hitting Fire Blast, but I get paralyzed first turn, and at this point I know he's just going to be able to easily knock me out with the U-turn. But it turns out that I'm actually going to be able to just barely live, and this is where him missing Stone Edge really mattered because now I'm going to be able to get off a good amount of damage on that Togekiss as it comes in. But much like before, I get paralyzed, and even if I didn't get paralyzed I would still have to hope that Fire Blast hit. So in the end, the odds were really not in my favor, so I really wasn't upset about that hex whatsoever. And now I can get a free switch into my Medicham. Unfortunately though, I don't know if I will be able to knock him out with one hit, but that's really foolish of me considering the fact that Mega Medicham has an insane physical attack stat. So I go ahead and Mega Evolve, and I do have the pure power. I have the super effective Ice Punch. I'm going to be able to easily annihilate that Togekiss, and at this point his last Pokemon is Scizor, which I doubt will be able to knock me out with a Bullet Punch, and in return I will be able to knock him out with a high jump kick. Although he doesn't go for the Bullet Punch, I'm not too sure why. I guess in the end it really wouldn't have mattered. But yeah, I knock out Scizor, and that is the victory in my favor. So yeah, definitely a fun battle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. As I said, thank you everybody for getting me up to 10,000 subscribers. You guys are fucking awesome. I don't know how else to put it. Thank you for your support. Feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to some more content. Enjoy the rest of your night or day whenever you are watching this, and with that I will hopefully see you guys soon. So later everybody.